I'm vengeance. Who are you? I'm your worst nightmare.
For the past 85 years, Bob Kane and Bill Finger's iconic superhero has endured. Embedded in the hearts and minds of generations, this orphan of America continues to inspire children and adults alike, an institution that has defied interpretation, crossing cultural boundaries, remaining a household name and a potent symbol of vigilance and justice. I'm Bat fan Rich Johnson, and as a writer for Animation Magazine, it will be of no surprise that my words are often motivated by a lifelong love of the medium. Throw a cape and cowl in the mix, and as a boy with his wonderful toys, I'm grinning from ear to ear. The world of Batman the Animated Series, in particular, is a huge sandpit, an animated Gotham that, at least for me, has always provided an inspired sketch of American culture and, in turn, effortless on-screen entertainment. Hopefully I'll not lose you too much in the history of the character, most of which any fan will already know. I'm only here to prove why 1993's Batman Mask of the Phantasm is not only the greatest Batman movie ever told, but, ultimately, a respected work of cinema, a groundbreaking, if not somewhat overlooked masterpiece of the medium that should be as highly regarded as any of the movies that inspired it. This is a work that demonstrates how animation ain't just for kids, something that only the majority of us, lost in its artistry, will forever champion and continually remind people of. So, grab yourself a carrot or a canapé, sit back and enjoy the party. Batman has gone by many names over the years. The Batman of Gotham, Caped Crusader, Dark Knight, the world's greatest detective, and, therefore, as time has proven, became much more than a product of his era. He is a pop culture phenomenon, shaped by a rich tapestry of historical and cultural touchstones, a character that has grown throughout the stories and world he inhabits, transcending his medium and gaining the ultimate accolade of global success and universal appeal. Yes, an icon and symbol, but eventually even a brand of his own. Although Phantasm effortlessly taps into a rich history of storytelling, another integral foundation was having a full season of the animated series as a launchpad that set the tone and helped redefine the character. However, despite the success of the series and love the first feature receives, it may be a surprise that Phantasm bombed in the US after its release on Christmas Day 1993. Earning just under $6 million worldwide on a $6 million budget, Warner Brothers, similarly to the Iron Giant 6 years later, had screwed another animated masterpiece via a short 8-month production and poor marketing decisions. Certainly no mark of a poor movie, this Christmas gift has become a cult classic after finding its audience on home video. The story is perfectly executed. Through its Dickens-inspired narrative, Bruce Wayne, confronting a reaper of the past and present, questions his future as a crime fighter as he explores the mystery surrounding a new vigilante in town, whom Batman is mistaken for. We are reminded of eternal torment and the most human of struggles, important elements that have shaped the psyche of Batman since his first appearance on the cover of Detective Comics issue 27, March the 30th, 1939. Cloaked in leathern wings, the dark, demonic figure was in stark contrast to the bright colours and optimism of the first superhero a year earlier. Simply a man, not a Superman, Batman relies on his wit and gadgets, his brooding and deep-rooted humanity reminding us of the classic hero, all of which only adds to his everlasting appeal. Sharing another Bat entry of my own, where Superman represents how America sees itself, Batman can be seen as how the rest of the world views America. His mythology is built from one man's quest for vengeance, and although justice is not as tangible as the Holy Grail, it is still the chalice that Bruce Wayne searches for, not only defining his character, but also the world he inhabits. Without bogging the movie down too much as an origin tale, Phantasm manages to perfectly tap into the responsibilities Bruce must face. The result is the most fully realised screen version to date. Here, He sets precedents in his actions, yet, unavoidably, knows his sacrifice to save Gotham City will take its toll. He is surrounded by death, and the Phantasm, an even darker and deadlier reflection of himself, is a blatant reminder of that.
Batman! How'd you get here?
Your angel of death awaits.
However, without detracting from our hero, another integral part of what makes this particular Batman movie stand out is the villain. Albeit based on the Reaper from the 4-issue 1987 storyline Batman Year 2, it makes every attempt to present a unique adversary and fresh Bat-villain for the screen, while every other subsequent live-action defaulted to the Rogues Gallery, most notably the Clown Prince of Crime himself.
Makes you want to laugh, doesn't it, Art?
Of course, the Joker is a fantastic nemesis, a maniacal Mark Hamill masterclass. But here, the creative team still managed to lend as much weight and mystery to the Phantasm as any other Bat-villain. In terms of mood and narrative devices, Mask of the Phantasm borrows as much from Edgar Allan Poe as it does from Charles Dickens. However, in looking at Bob Kane's initial inspiration, those Da Vinci-inspired images, digging deeper, there are also the inherent medieval influences and echoes of Victorian urban legends, even the lineage of Poe's detective fiction, and, therefore, is, as intended, Sherlock Holmes meets Zorro. This fundamental DNA of classic and pulp literature lends a distinct, dynamic storytelling that has shaped Batman. All the while, the boundaries between the symbol and how much of the mask is truly Bruce Wayne are blurred in direct reference to gothic undertones of repression and a second self that delivers a more fearful visage.
You still following your dad's orders?
The way I see it, the only one in this room controlled by his parents is you.
Gone way too soon. It is this crucial aspect that Kevin Conroy brought to the role, playing Batman as Bruce's true id, hiding behind a foppish accent as he mingles with the socialites. His Shakespearean approach understood the character fully, bringing further dimension to what could have always been dismissed as cartoonish, and creating the definitive and longest-running portrayal of the character. For Conroy, the experience of playing Batman was still theatre, as he tapped into the duality, the history, the comedy, and the tragedy. The personal loss and despair at the heart of Batman, nevermore, nevermore, his inspiration more rodent than raven, forged him. The plot of Phantasm only adding a further dimension to these facets. In true Gothic fashion, he literally finds romance in a graveyard in the shape of Andrea Beaumont, played deliciously by Dana Delaney.
I talked to my parents.
What'd you say?
I made a vow.
What vow?
A secret one.
Ooh, a man of mystery.
The spark is undeniable, an unmistakable connection. Those beautiful little animated touches as they interact for the first time, their love for each other tormenting him all the more. It culminates in an integral moment between Bruce and Andrea, presenting him in a new light, a glimmer of hope in the pouring rain surrounded by the shadows of death. It is a distilled snapshot of a man on the edge, the precipice he decides to plummet from each time he answers the call. The scene is a standout moment because it also demonstrates the power, weight, and emotion animation can deliver. It is a moment that becomes the fulcrum of Bruce's life journey and a major crux of the plot, love defining who he is. Another painful reminder of how much he channels the pain. Happiness, never part of the plan, as the classic girl who got away tale only cements his vow of vengeance. Much like Bruce and Andrea's relationship, we are only teased with optimism, the bleakest and nihilist of endings tearing Bruce and Andrea apart once and for all amongst the decaying remnants of the city's future, their own future left to burn. It's all just a joke. It is no surprise that some of the earliest influences on Batman came from the big screen. Bob Kane often having cited 1920s The Mask of Zorro, the aristocratic hero and double identity, along with Whodunit, The Bat from 1926, which, amidst its theatricalities, shows a blatant bat signal. From the very beginnings of working on the animated series, co-creators Bruce Timm and Erik Radomski were pushing to express the stories as visually as possible and to essentially tell mini-movies. Studying the likes of the early Fleischer Superman cartoons helped build an artistic lineage and integrity. Under the direction of Timm and Radomski, the imprint of cinema lends Phantasm a vital texture of rich canvas that helped deliver what is essentially an animated drama. The cinematic referencing throughout is more than inspiring. It is a cultural roadmap referencing everything from Fritz Lang's Metropolis to Citizen Kane, Hitchcock's Vertigo to anime masterpiece Akira. There are many homages, painted anew through animation.
Well, Bruce, here goes.
A notable Year One nod sees Bruce, still wet behind the ears, in an attempt to apprehend a bunch of robbers. It leads to a superb chase sequence, pulling as much from Raiders of the Lost Ark as it does the end freeway pursuit in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, two of the best action sequences of all time. Coming back to Bruce and Andrea's tragic romance, we are drawn to the one at the heart of the 1969 Bond movie On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Bruce often shares a notable comparison to James Bond, the gadgets and the playboy mentality. But here there is another notable parallel to the iconic British hero, as Bruce and Andrea's relationship echoes that of the spy and the Contessa Teresa Tracy de Vincenzo. Not only are their fathers linked to crime, but both Tracy and Andrea are strong-willed women who hold their own and, in turn, diffuse our hero, something of which has since become a rather common and tired trope of superhero movies. The tropes here are out of the past, and through the lens of cinema. Andrea specifically smoulders as the classic starlet and femme fatale of film noir that, yes, diffuses, but also, through tragic circumstances, forges our hero.
Too young. Need time. Forget about me.
Running from 1992 to 1995, the original run of the animated series is the definitive interpretation of the iconic superhero, and Phantasm only hones the storytelling further. Already a machine well-oiled, the film's singular vision was due to Timm and Radomski's directing, their incredible artistry having already set a strict style for the production. While obviously spurred by the success of Tim Burton's '89 version, it was time to treat an animated Batman as seriously as the birth of the modern age of comic books. With seasoned writer Alan Burnett on board, leaning heavily into the noir he always envisioned, other writers such as Paul Dini, Martin Pascoe and Michael Reeves jumped on board the series, all of whom contributed to the movie's script. Unshackled from broadcast restrictions, they were able to not only carry over the emotional depth TV audiences had come to expect from the series, but also raised the stakes even higher. This meant going darker. Timm's effortless character designs and Radomski's background, buildings literally pulled out of darkness, painted on black to retain the noir undertones, shaped a look emblematic of classic black and white movies. This dark deco style, as it came to be known, aped the pinnacle of American art and architecture of the 30s, projecting it into an alternate future. With its sheer success, that tight script and the sharpest of dialogue, Batman Mask of the Phantasm achieves more in its 75 minutes running time than all of the Batman movies put together. It has stood the test of time because it was treated as seriously as any other movie.
You know, when you're acting in a movie, you're hot, you're sweating, your co-star has body odor, you don't really like him. All these things are coming into play, but when it's animated, everything's perfect.
After all, the character is a perfect fit for Warner Brothers, not only having defined the gangster movie, but a studio who are equally as synonymous with live action as they are animation. But it is also down to a creative team delivering something much more than just a Batman story. It is a great story, period. A major legacy of the Bat that goes beyond comic books and animation, providing a perfect slice of entertainment. As the first DC animated movie, and cornerstone for what would follow, it delivers the most definitive version of the character, a perfect entry point into a very specific animated interpretation of Gotham City, and, eventually, a Batman and Joker yet to come.